Mic'd up with Jake and Kyle coming to you on a Wednesday. Thank you so much for joining us as we have got plenty to get to today. Got about 24 hours of reaction from what occurred yesterday in the golf world with the PGA Tour and the public investment fund that controls the LIV Golf Tour coming together. Rory McIlroy has spoke. We will get to some Chiefs news and notes. Is there a Chief that could, or is there someone that the Chiefs could go after? We will get to that. We'll talk plenty of Royals baseball, monster news in the soccer world here in the United States. So plenty to get to. Kellis Robinette will join us coming up at the bottom of this hour to talk all things K-State and the latest news for the Kansas State Wildcats. Zach Watkins, the defensive coordinator for the Washburn Ichabods, will join us. Wanted Zach to get in here to talk about the kind of new rules when it comes to the NFL world, the special teams rules, as he is the special teams coach there in the Division II world at Washburn, to get his take a little bit on some of that talks, plus a little baseball talk as well. So a lot to get to on this edition of Mic'd Up. Jake LeBon with Kyle Manthe filling in for Fulton Caster. Fulton has not sent me any more photos of fish that he's caught, so I'm under the assumption that he is not catching any fish. And he's caught just 2 of the smallest bluegill that I've ever seen in my entire life. So we wish Fulton happy fishing right now. As always, let us know your thoughts. Hit us up on our text line, 785-272-9429. Let us know your opinions on our YouTube stream. Very simple, very easy. Go to youtube.com/@sportson580. Head to our website, 580www.com as well. Very simple and very easy to do so. So lots to discuss, including the Royals yesterday. Well, they got absolutely dominated by the Miami Marlins. It was not close. They lost 6-1. They had 5 hits. Now, according to the game as it started, Zach Greinke was not charged with some earned runs, but then as it went forward, he did end up getting charged with earned runs, which makes sense. Zach Greinke goes 4 1/3, was not, great in the 5th inning, gave up the 5 runs in the 5th, really good through the first 4. And the offense had 1 extra base hit. They really did next to nothing. They played today at 5 o'clock. It got moved up a little bit. When I say a little bit, I mean 30 minutes, so a 4:30 pregame coverage. But right now, with this Kansas City Royal team, and I've said this a few different times, but Zach Greinke doesn't really matter the rest of this year. It's almost as if it's even more or less impactful than Jordan Lyles, because Jordan Lyles is under contract for next year. Zach Greinke isn't. So the game yesterday is more so about the bullpen and about the lineup. Jackson Kowar gave up a run in 2 1/3, which wasn't terrible. Struck out 3, walked 2. He wasn't awful, wasn't great, considering he had 4 base runners in 2 1/3 innings. And then Quas and Whitgren, kind of a whatever. But with Zach Greinke and the Royals, and this is the problem with the Royals right now, is that they've become a nobody cares institution. That's what they've become. Like, yesterday didn't matter. Oh, Zach Greinke, did he pitch well? Doesn't matter. If he got shelled, doesn't matter. It's more important that Jackson Kowar got 2 1/3 innings yesterday than Zach Greinke. The only reason Zach Greinke was brought in for this year for the Kansas City Royals was this. The Royals thought Brady Singer and Daniel Lynch were going to be good. Then you bring back Zach Greinke, who you hope Zach Greinke would have be the Zach Greinke of last year. Then you've got 3 starting pitchers that you think can go out and win you games. Then you brought in Jordan Lyles, a guy who can eat innings and every now and then put together something. And then you've got 4 starters, and then you hope one of like your 5 guys of the world, the Carlos Hernandezes, the Chris Bubiches, the Austin Coxes, those type of pitchers. Brad Keller with the new pitching staff and his new sweeper. Hey, maybe you can cobble all of those guys together for one starting rotation spot. Like, that was the reason you brought Greinke in. You brought Greinke in because you thought he could be the 3rd guy behind Lynch and Singer. And then Jordan Lyles is your innings eater. And then just somehow, some way, you could get somebody else to produce. That was the pitching staff plan for this year. And unfortunately, every single one of those plans did not work. Singer hasn't been great to start things off in the month of April. Lynch got hurt, didn't pitch in the month of April and May. Lyles, he's pitching today, bet against the Royals. Lyles has not won, the Royals have not won a start when Jordan Lyles pitches. They haven't. They are over. Bet the Marlins. In fact, just bet the opposing team. You're going to end up winning no matter what. So that's the situation with Zach Greinke. I like Zach Greinke because he's the been with the Royals forever. And when he goes into the Hall of Fame, he hopefully will don a Royals cap, which would make the Royals then 2 players in the MLB Hall of Fame, which would be kind of cool. But the game last night didn't really mean anything outside of the lineup. And the lineup in yesterday's game notched five hits. That was it. Good to see Bobby Witt Jr. get 2 hits in a game. That was good to see, especially when Luzardo absolutely shoved for 7 innings, allowed 2 hits and 1 earned run. And then you got Nick Pratto. And low-key, Nick Pratto, over the course of the last 36 games, are you ready for this? Nick Pratto is the best Royals player. Over the last 36 games, even better than Vinny Pasquantino, over the last 36 games, Nick Pratto has been the best player on the Kansas City Royals. Right now, Nick Pratto rolling on a 5-game hitting streak, which is kind of nice. But since Nick Pratto got called up, and on April 28th is when he started to get big minutes and big innings. Nick Pratto first appeared on April 5th and then April 6th and then didn't play until April 28th. But since April 28th, he has appeared in 34 games. And in those 34 games, he is hitting .308, an on-base percentage of .400, and a slug of almost .490, which means his OPS is .892. In 34 games and 31 starts, mind you, a couple of those came in as a pinch hitter, if you will, he's got 15 extra base hits in 31 starts. That is an extra base hit every other game. He's not going to be a guy with super big power, has just 4 home runs, does draw some walks. But this was nice to see that Nick Pratto is through at least 130 at-bats this year and playing consistent time and also hitting leadoff, is a big leaguer. That is what is nice to see, especially in a game last night where Nick Pratto going up against a dominant, and the reason why they didn't bat him leadoff was because Luzardo has been dominant against left-handers. And he goes 1 for 3 in the game, gets a double, and drives in a run. So it didn't drive in there. They scored on a wild pitch, but that's been the best part so far of the Royals here. The last 36 games is Nick Pratto is a legitimate, right now, Major League Baseball player. He's one of 3 that are actually getting the job done, which is kind of nice to see if you are the Kansas City Royals. So outside of that, the Royals last night are no one really cares. I mean, let's be real. The amount of people who probably watch that game are few and far between. And the rest of the season is going to be the same way for the Royals. And just how bad is it right now for the Royals? And we talked about rock bottom for the Royals was basically being done after the first 20 games, or first 30 games, the end of the first month, right? Is that rock bottom? Is losing to the A's rock bottom? And losing to the A's, remember, the Royals lost to the A's this year, beginning of May. Rock bottom ended up happening technically on Saturday, May 6th, when you lost the first 2 games to the A's. Are you ready for this? Going into yesterday, these are the worst records after 60 games in Royals history. 2006, they went 16-44. This year, 18-42. 05 and 2019, they were 19-41. 2002, they were 20-40. And then 2001 and 2018, they were 21-39. Folks, through 60 games, and now 61 since the Royals lost yesterday, this is the second worst team in Royals baseball history. The second worst team, according to the numbers. If you want to talk about the eye test, 05 and 06 were pretty bad. We all know that. And I think this year's team has better talent than 05 and 06. But compared to their fellow MLBers, this is the second worst team in Royals baseball history. In 2019, they lost 103 games. And right now they are 1 loss worse than the 2019 team that lost 103 games. That is not ideal. And you ready for this? This is a fun little development. Well, what's going on for the Kansas City Royals in their minor league system? Are you ready for this? This is not what you want. Baseball America is a publication who looks at minor leaguers. Okay. Great publication. Been doing it for a long time. They released their new Baseball America Top 100. Okay. That's the best 100 prospects in the minors. How many Royals are on that list? Kyle, do you have an idea?
I know the answer, but it's not what we want to hear.
What's the answer?
The answer is 0.
The answer is 0. Gavin Cross, their draft pick last year out of Virginia Tech center fielder, dropped out of the top 100, giving the Royals 0 prospects on this list. They don't have a single player in their entire minor league system who is a 100 prospect, top 100 prospect. I don't know. This might be rock bottom. There's nothing coming up. That's why we talked about it a little bit. What was it on Monday? Hey, the Royals got to make a move with David Lesky, right? They have nobody. They have nobody that's a prospect to even get excited about Major League Baseball wide. Do they have some guys who you think, yeah, maybe like the Frank Mazzucatos of the world? Yeah, but he's in low A. You're not going to be a top 100 baseball America prospect if you're in low A, unless you were Bobby Witt Jr. They have nobody, not a single one. That's where I asked the question. Do the Royals think they can compete in 2024? Because if the answer is yes, we do, then every one of these Royals players that is currently on the roster has to improve. They have to get better. Man, you want to talk about a depressing headline that I saw there? Yeah, no Royals in the top 100 list. That is on General Manager Dayton Moore. Formerly General Manager Dayton Moore. You're supposed to develop talent. They went the pitching route. Pitchers are maybe the most fickle entity in all of sports. I saw this that the Reds are actually kind of on the come up, right? They're not doing too bad, and they're a very young baseball team. I don't know if you know this. The Reds' first round pick for like the last 10 years have all been position players. Draft position players, buy pitching. But that's what the Royals have done wrong. And it didn't pan out. 2018, they went all in, and it so far has blown up in their face. Not a single top. And since 2018, all those guys are up, right? Only kind of one of them has panned out since 2018. But where are your draft picks in 2019? Where are your draft picks in 2020? Where are your draft picks in 2021? They ain't nowhere to be found, man. If you can't have a single guy in 2021 or 2023, holy goodness, that is terrible. Oh, rock bottom, at least minor league system wise. Whew. Coming up next is the soccer world flipped upside down. Big decision happened today. We'll get to that coming up next. soccer world. Messi's 35 years old. I believe he just won the Ballon d'Or trophy last year, if I'm not mistaken, because, well, when you, or did they give it to, when did he, yeah, he won it in 21 when, yeah, and then this past year was Kareem Benzema. It was not awarded in 2019. Messi won it in, or 2020. Messi won it in 2019. So let me, real quick, Kyle, Messi joining the MLS, does that like ignite soccer in America?
As someone who's not a super intense soccer observer, it makes me mildly interested at least.
Really? Interesting. I didn't know, like, oh, great, we got this soccer guy who, everybody knows, but are you going to watch it because of it? I don't know. It says this summer, I'm bummed that Sporting KC doesn't host Inter Miami, because then Messi could be coming to Children's Mercy Park. That's pretty cool. But I don't know if it's going to do what maybe soccer people think. It's interesting. Coming up, we're going to talk with Kellis Robinette.
WIPW Topeka FM 104.9.
Welcome back into Mic'd Up. Jake Lamont, along with Kyle Manthe, filling in for Fulton Caster. We will get to some more news when it comes to the college football and basketball world, a little bit more specific on the Pac-12 has a little bit more clarity, and this time I guess it's more concrete when it comes to what could end up happening for the Big 12 going forward. We'll get to all of that. We got another edition of You Did What coming up on this Wednesday of Mic'd Up. Royals baseball, 5 o'clock today. Jordan Lyles is on the mound. The Royals have not won a game when Jordan Lyles has pitched. They are 0-12. So if you are betting at home, bet against the Kansas City Royals. And in fact, real quick, right now, the Royals they're going to be heavy underdogs. We know that. They're going to be heavy underdogs. And you can get the Miami Marlins right now at minus 178. Minus 178. That's not great odds, but I thought it'd be in the 200s. Jordan Lyles has not won a game. I'm talking about the Royals, just the team. Whenever Jordan Lyles pitches a baseball, they lose. Doesn't matter if he gets the win or the loss. Just the team loses in general. 0-12. How about that? That's pretty good. But right now, we head to the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits phone lines to bring in Kellis Robinette of the Wichita Eagle and the Kansas City Star. Kellis, how are you doing, man?
Doing good. How's everything in Topeka?
Doing all right. Can you think of something equivalent to Kansas State as Jordan Lyles, whenever he pitches, the Royals have not won a game? Is there anything that you can kind of equate to that, to Kansas State, on just how awful that is?
Well, the only thing that kind of comes to mind is ever since Chris Kleiman has taken over as coach, he's tried to very subtly change up the football uniforms in hopes of one day, radically changing them and having some alternates. But every single time they've modified anything on the uniform, they've lost. It's
really
kind of crazy. Yeah. First season, they went with some white helmets and lost. They tried going all white in their bowl game against Navy and lost. Last year, they broke out. They tried to be smart, and they said we're gonna have our new special alternate uniforms when we play Tulane. And then Tulane turned out to be a top 10 team and beat them. So, yeah, it's just one of those weird things. I don't know that it actually has anything to do with anything. But if you're a superstitious person, every time Kansas State has strayed away from the traditional Bill Snyder jerseys under Chris Kleiman, they have lost. It's kind of bananas.
I am floored. I had no idea. Is that a big thing among K-State fans?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know about huge, but I can tell you the last couple of times they've announced they were going to be wearing new helmets or new pants or anything like that, there have definitely been people groaning, already predicting the losses. And like I said, I don't think it has anything to do with anything, but for whatever reason, they don't win when they change things up. So, yeah, if you're a superstitious person, your antennas go up when you see new stuff around here.
You mean, I thought they had the cat script on the helmet one time. Did they not? Am I dreaming or am I drunk? Like,
oh no, they put the cats on the helmet and they lost the game. So they haven't been back since.
So oh my God, that's the first question I'm asking Chris Kleiman at Media Days coming up down in Dallas. Do you believe in the curse of the alternate uniforms and what his answer is. Because that, to me, I had no idea. I never really pieced that together, or I didn't follow it close enough. This is why you're the best, Kellis, because that is a great nugget. Now I got to be following. Are K-State basketball uniforms the same way, or not as strong of a curse?
No, they actually kind of have the reverse effect. There for a while, when they first brought back the two-tone jerseys with the dark blue pants and the lavender tops under Bruce Weber, they were almost had 1,000 winning percentage in those for a long time. I think they eventually did lose, but there for a while, whenever they would win those things, people were treating them like they were automatic wins. Lavender last season didn't do so hot.
Okay.
Actually, I think they had a losing record in lavender, and there are a few people on Twitter who keep track of this stuff. I think they went undefeated in their home whites. So, or maybe they lost Florida Atlantic in their home whites, but before that they were undefeated. So, yeah, but no, the lavenders and the two-tones haven't cursed the basketball team. They've at least won a few times with those on.
Yeah, the playing a mid-major in the Elite Eight is the biggest issue there. So that is what K-State fans.
Yes, now that is a different curse entirely. I don't know how to break that one.
for sure. All right, Kellis. We discussed this last week and wanted to get your take on this. Iowa is now looking for a new athletic director. If I were Iowa, I'd move. But if I were, in charge of Iowa and I'm the president of Iowa, I do anything and everything I can to hire Gene Taylor. What do you think the chances are of that? Do you think that is a possibility? Do you think Gene Taylor would even consider it? He was the deputy AD there for a while. How do you kind of assess this situation? Does K-State and President Litton give him a pay raise? I would think that this is a low-key kind of big deal that maybe is not talked about enough when it comes to the K-State athletic side of things.
I can see where you're coming from. I definitely had the same thought when that job came open, that Gene Taylor would pop up on Iowa's radar there. I could certainly see why they would be interested in him, because ever since he left Iowa, Kansas State has done several good things. The coaches he has hired have turned out to be very good here. But I'm not, maybe I'm being a little naive here, but I'm not too worried that he will actually leave for Iowa. I think he's built something pretty good in Kansas State. He's got the coaches he likes here. He's really good friends with Chris Kleiman. He seems to have struck gold with Jerome Tang. That people are calling him the best athletic director in the country this past season. It just at this age in his life, I don't personally see him leaving for a different job, no matter what it is. But you never know; those Big Ten schools can pay a lot of money. So I suppose if they threw enough at him, maybe he would consider it. But my guess is the most likely scenario is he stays here and Kansas State finds some way to reward him with a bigger contract.
Maybe everything has changed over the last 24 hours with what has gone on. We have found out, though, that Kellis, everybody has a price. And that is what we do know when it comes to this world. Everybody does. Sometimes it's not monetary. Sometimes your price is different. But a lot of the times it's monetary, okay? Somebody offers you $1 million to go cover, some team in Idaho. I'm pretty sure you're leaving, okay, Kellis? But maybe this is different. I don't know. How much money are you willing to spend on an AD? And that's maybe a better question. How much is a really good AD worth to an athletic department?
That's a good question. I'm not. I don't know those numbers off the top of my head. Who makes the most in that field? But I would think that in the Big Ten, with the money that they make, you're probably looking at maybe $2 to $2.5 million, maybe even $3 million for the right person. You don't want to pay them as much as your coaches, obviously, but they still, this is somebody who's in charge of a lot of things, and important job. So yeah, I would think somewhere around $2 million for a well-respected and experienced athletic director. So, I don't know. I guess multiply that out as much as you want, and then you can start figuring out, the can't say no price.
Just to give you a heads up, I Googled the most overrated athletic department in the country because their fans think that they are the greatest thing since sliced bread. Ohio State AD Gene Smith makes $1.5 million, just to let you know. And he's in charge of that monster program and athletic department. That was at least in 2001. Doing a quick Google search there. I do think the AD is important. Making the hires a big deal, keeping everybody in line is a big deal. When you look at what K-State has done with the Shamrock Zone and the new indoor facility and everything, I mean, Gene Taylor's done a terrific job. And boy, I think it's low key a bigger deal than what most would probably. And he's got a lot of pull, I think, right now in the Big 12 because he's one of the more senior ADs going forward now that Joe Castiglione is out. He's going to be gone after this year. So I think he's got a little bit more pull than what most would have in the Big 12. Want to move to a topic that hasn't gotten as much traction amongst fans, but apparently, and according to some reports, Brett Yormark really big into Gonzaga and UConn joining the league, and nobody else really is. No, that hasn't gotten a lot of steam. Why do you think Gonzaga and UConn joining the Big 12 hasn't gotten as much steam maybe amongst the general public as what Brett Yormark kind of views it as?
I think probably just because, at least to me, it still seems a little far-fetched that Big 12 would add UConn and Gonzaga. It just doesn't make the same kind of financial and all-around sense that would come with, say, Colorado and Arizona. Schools leaving from the Pac-12 to the Big 12 feel like a bigger deal than two basketball, mostly schools coming from far-flung regions. I'm guessing that's probably the reason. I don't know. I guess I've kind of overlooked it a little bit myself. I don't know that I don't have a ton of confidence that Gonzaga or Connecticut will be in the league, but maybe I'm off on that one. And I think it's probably just the whole basketball thing. People pay attention to football. If schools like Colorado or Arizona left the Pac-12, then that's going to leave that league in peril, and there's a whole lot of other dominoes that could fall. Whereas if Gonzaga and UConn leave, I'm sure the WCC will keep moving on with what they've got. I'm sure the Big East will be fine without UConn. So maybe that's all part of it. But you're right. The moves from the Pac-12 have gotten a lot more attention, and maybe we should be looking at Gonzaga and UConn more than we are, because they do bring certain things to the table that the Big 12 values, mostly basketball.
It is interesting that the only person who thinks basketball can be a money-making opportunity right now is Brett Yormark. Can you think of anyone else talking about basketball and how it's being undervalued other than Brett Yormark?
No, I can't say that I've really heard any of that. The only place you would maybe think it would come from would be the ACC, because they value it so much out there with Carolina and Duke and all the long history they have out there. But no, really everywhere it comes, it's football. And even the ACC, when they've expanded in the past, it's been to schools like Miami, Florida State, Virginia Tech, schools that come in and would boost football. So yeah, he's kind of cutting against the grain a little bit there. And that's one area that he could be innovative with. I think his goal down the line is to eventually sell two different products to TV companies: Big 12 football, Big 12 basketball, bid on them separately, drive up the price. It's an interesting idea.
We're talking with Kellis Robinette of the Wichita Eagle and the Kansas City Star, as we are about a month away from Big 12 football media days. And so the month of June, a little bit more downtime for you, Kellis, which is definitely deserved, considering during the season you work basically every single day from about August to March. I want to finish with this. My last two for the road, then we'll get you out of here. You're a soccer guy, right?
I do like the beautiful game. Yeah.
You like the beautiful game. I'm watching Ted Lasso. I'm on season 3. No spoilers, and I'm excited about that. That's a lot of fun. But Messi is coming to the United States. He's going to play for Inter Milan. Do you think that Messi joining the MLS will actually have an impact on non-soccer people?
It might have a minor effect. I mean, I know when David Beckham came out here and played for Los Angeles, some people noticed. My wife cared enough that once I bought tickets to a Sporting KC LA game when Beckham was in town, and she was willing to tag along with me just to see Beckham, and that's something she wouldn't do otherwise. So
Okay.
I think there is that little element that Lionel Messi, people they've heard of. If Miami's coming to your town, you got a chance to watch him play. I think that becomes a hotter ticket. So in that element, yes, I do think it has a positive impact to the league and drives up interest. But at the same time, do I think like thousands of people are going to be going out and buying the MLS package through Apple to watch more games now? No, probably not. So that's kind of where I am with it.
Yeah, you and I did the same exact thing. I looked up the schedule for Sporting Kansas City to see when they were playing Inter Miami, and I'm guessing we were both the same reaction. Was sad that Sporting Kansas City does not host Inter Miami this year. They go to Miami coming up in September, so we won't get to see the greatest soccer player to ever play, at least right next to the Nebraska Furniture Mart.
Well, it was suggested to me that they do have a road game in St. Louis coming up. So if you really want to see Messi, I think that's your closest opportunity to just drive a little bit farther into Missouri to watch it.
I'm not a schedule expert for MLS, but does that mean that Inter Miami would be coming to Sporting next year in 24?
That's above my pay grade. I'm not sure on that.
All right. Lastly, our list today. I saw this somewhere on social media. The toughest position to play in any sport. What is that in your mind? Any sport, I don't care what it is, specific position, all around side, the physical, the mental, toughest position in any sport. What is it?
Ooh, man, that's a tough question. Scrolling through the sports in my mind right now, I would think the two I would go for would be catcher in baseball. There's just got to be killing knees to have to squat down like that every single day and try to throw out people a second. That seems demanding. And then cornerback in football, just a very, very difficult job. Like, can you imagine someone saying, "Hey, go try to defend Tyreek Hill"? No,
Without touching
I couldn't
him.
do it. Yeah, there's no. I probably could catch like an inning in a Major League Baseball game. I did it in Little League. If I trained enough, I could probably make it through at least an AB or something. I don't think I could stay on the field for even one opportunity against Tyreek Hill. So maybe that's the way I'm leaning. Cornerback in the NFL.
Kellis, we appreciate the time as always, my friend. Have yourself a great rest of the weekend.
All right, you too.
Kellis Robinette of the Wichita Eagle Kansas City Star does a fantastic job. Great insight there. When it comes to Gene Taylor, I'm with you. I don't think he'd leave. He's got a really good situation. He's going to get a pay increase. And just how much more money would you make at Iowa, judging by the salaries of other ADs? I don't know. We all have a price. We found that out about 24 hours ago, don't we? Coming up next, we'll get a little NBA Finals talk. today, the toughest positions in sports, any position. Like, I honestly think golf is one of them. Hitting a little ball, like the way that the pros do, that's really difficult to do. It really, really is. And you have to be good at so many different things. You have to be good at like 7 different things. You can't win unless you're excellent at all of them. Scotty Scheffler's like the greatest ball striker in the history of the game and can't win right now because he can't putt. Like, numbers back that up. NBA Finals Game 3 tonight. Heat versus Nuggets. Are you ready for my analysis? It's going to be earth-shattering. And you can get 3.5 hours of pregame coverage on ESPN and ABC, or you can listen for the next minute and a half, and I'll tell you what really matters. If the Miami Heat make 17 threes, they have a chance. I mean, they're going to win, but they have a chance. If the Miami Heat don't make 17 threes, they will not win. I just broke that down for you in about 20 seconds. But yet everyone is going to analysis by paralysis and over JJ Redick and Stephen A. Smith. And, you know, that's the beautiful thing about Inside the NBA. Chuck and Kenny and Shaq, I mean, they know what's going on. If the Miami Heat get on a heater again and make 17 threes, it will be a game, just like it was in game 2. If they don't shoot it well, guess what happens? Oh, the entire regular season for the Miami Heat. Kyle, you're a big NBA guy. I know that. Your team apparently, you know, kryptonite is winning a championship. Kyle's a fan of the Suns. The Heat were not good in the regular season, which is why they had to win the play-in game and 3 play-in games. They played in 3 of them, right? Because they lost the first one and then had to win the next 2, right? If I'm not mistaken.
They had to beat Fulton Chicago Bulls.
Yeah, and, well, the Bulls suck too. Well, they just all of a sudden turned into Steph Curry and Ray Allen, and they can't miss. And if they do that again today, they have a chance to win. Bet the Nuggets, they're going to win. They'll cover the spread. Coming up, we'll talk with Washburn defensive coordinator Zach Watkins. Jake Levon along with Kyle Manthe on this Wednesday, leading you into Royals baseball, a late afternoon game. They tried to avoid the sweep. And normally I would say, hey, recently when the Royals lose the first two games of the series, what do? They win the final game. You don't sweep the Royals. You know, the last team to do that was the White Sox. But unfortunately, the Royals are throwing out Jordan Lyles. And Jordan Lyles has been awful this year, and the Royals have never won when Jordan Lyles pitches. So we've got 4:30 pregame coverage, 5 o'clock first pitch from Miami between the Marlins and the Royals. Jordan Lyles on the bump. We've got Everyone Loves the List. Our list today, very simple, very easy. The toughest positions in sports. It'll be interesting to see where people go. So hit us up on our text line, 785-272-9429. Let us know your thoughts. Check us out on YouTube. Very simple, very easy. Go to youtube.com/@sportson580. Check us out as well on our website, 580wibw.com. We're going to get to some news when it comes to the college realignment world. The Pac-12 is come to an agreement, but they're waiting on the most important part of their future. We will get to that as well on this edition of Mic'd Up. But right now we are going to bring in, he's a Washburn Hall of Famer. He hates it when I talk about that, but he is. He's one of the greatest linebackers in Washburn and MIAA history. He's the all-time leading tackler in Washburn history as well. He is the defensive coordinator, was the special teams coordinator, still helps out in the special teams world. That's another reason we're bringing him on here today to talk. Who knows what we're going to get into, but Zach Watkins joining us here on Mic'd Up. Zach, first of all, how's the summertime with the college season approaching? You've got summer workouts going on, which you can't really talk to your team. That's still such a unique dynamic in my opinion. You got camps going on. You're still are you allowed to recruit right now? First and foremost, can you recruit here on June 7th, or is this a dead period?
Yeah, kids can come to campus and do camps. We can go see kids at camps. At our level, we're not doing official visits and things like that, like the big time schools are. But yeah, June's full of camps. We're going to see a bunch of kids. We're going to have camps on Washburn's campus, camps at big Division I schools and other schools that have those mega camps. But we'll see a lot of kids this summer.
Do you go to a lot of those, like the KU, K-State?
Yep.
Like, do they allow you to go to those?
Yeah, they invite smaller schools, and they invite, not schools they're going to play to come recruit kids.
Yeah.
Most of the kids at a huge mega camp are not going FBS Division I. They're those FCS or D2 type guys. So there's a bunch of kids for us to go recruit, and they love to have us there because it gets more kids interested that might be that level that's not, a KU, K-State level.
Is there any like diamond in the roughs where someone shows up to a camp like that and the big dogs now go, holy cow? Does that ever happen?
Oh yeah. It happens all the time. The hardest thing in the evaluation process is there's going to be kids that run well and test well that may not be a good football player or vice versa. So that's all part of the evaluation.
The workout warriors.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's all part of the evaluation process. That's why sometimes you're going to miss on a recruit. Sometimes you find a diamond in the rough that caught your eye at a camp, and recruiting is not
it's easy, right?
Perfect process by any means.
Recruiting's so easy. Got to be the easiest part of the whole entire job as a college coach, right?
So it's a full-time separate job on top of what your job already is.
I don't know how college coaches, I have no idea how you do that. I really don't. Like, recruiting to me is nuts, especially now. I can't imagine being a D1, because you guys don't do a whole lot of NIL, do you?
Getting going, but not
really.
Yeah.
Because the D2, it's just, fan bases. I mean, the K-State fan base is much larger than the Washburn fan base. That's not a knock towards Washburn. That's just reality.
Yep.
You have, there's 9,000 students at Washburn total in all of the classes, freshman through senior, and then K-State's got 30. So it doesn't surprise that there's more opportunities in that. But do high school kids talk to you guys about NIL at all?
Starting to, yeah.
No kidding.
It's just it's changed the college landscape for the better. I think the kids deserve to get what they can. It's their name, it's their likeness, and so I'm for it. You just have to understand that the kids sometimes aren't just motivated by football. So you have to kind of, in the recruiting process, that's the evaluation of what is going to make this kid help his decision. Who are the key people in his life? what's going to motivate him. And obviously those motivating factors, whether they're internal or external, could be good or bad. And so that's all stuff you have to sift through and conversations you have to be ready to have.
And then you just go to the next level up and it's just a whole different deal.
I mean, the Division I level is a different level in everything, right? Funding, stadium size, TV contracts, conference realignment, all that stuff is a different level than us. And that's not to say it's good or bad. It's just a different level with the recruiting, a different level with the money. It's still college football at its core, but there's a lot more to it than what we have to deal with.
I get asked this a bunch. You know, what's the biggest difference between Division I and Division II? And everybody talks about, the speed of the game, the size of the game, and all of that. I said, no, that has nothing to do with it. I go, the biggest difference is the support staff. Washburn has 7 coaches. That's it. And then, do you know the Georgia's football support staff? What do you guess? How many people are involved in Georgia football when it comes to their entire operation?
Got to be close to 100 people, right? I mean, maybe more.
It's almost 80.
Yeah.
That's coaches and everything. Coaches and film guys and analysts and recruiters and social media and everything, tutors and all that. Like 80 people.
Our support staff starts to grow, right? You have your full-time coaches, your young coaches, your GAs, but there's not a department for everything. There's not an equipment department.
No,
that's
nuts.
Video graphics only department. There's not a recruiting department.
You're the recruiting department.
Exactly. Yeah. So the Division II coaches, we have a lot more of those duties on our shoulders. I think it sometimes makes you a very well-rounded coach that way because you do have to do a lot of that stuff.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Well,
80 is a little mind-blowing though. To fit 80 people in a staff room, get on the same page logistically, it seems like a lot.
That is what I always tell people. I go, yeah, the size, the speed is better at the Division I level, but my goodness, just what it takes to run that type of program. And that's the one thing that most people don't realize. You want your football team to be better. You have to invest in your football team. And it's not just, we got to get better players. How do you get better players? Well, you get better players by having a lot more recruiting staff, a sexier social media, because social media matters nowadays, man. You need graphic designers. I know K-State has hired multiple graphic designers to help, the pictures and all of that. I mean, it's not like it once was. I'm telling you, it's a whole different deal. But that's off the field. I want to get to on the field. You were a fantastic special teams coordinator. You're also a defensive coordinator. The new rules when it comes to special teams in the NFL. And the more and more I've thought about this, the more and more I don't like it because I like the kickoff return. I think it's exciting. I think it's fun. It's part of the game, right? It would be like getting rid of free throws to me in the NBA. It really would. Like if you want to get rid of the kickoff return, you want to get rid of punt return, fine. Let's get rid of free throws. That's essentially the same thing. Free throws are the special teams of basketball, if you will. So the NFL is going to the college route, the college rule, essentially. It is, if you fair catch it anywhere inside the 25-yard line, you get the ball at the 25-yard line. If it's in the end zone, you get it at the 25. You fair catch it at the 1, you get it at the 25. And the NFL when they made the new rule with the kickoff a while back, well, the kickers got really good at kicking it high, landing it at the 1-yard line, and you brought it back out. And I still haven't seen any empirical data that says more concussions happen in the kickoff return than any other play. I think that's a complete lie. I have not seen that. The Chiefs had 69 punt or kickoff returns last year. The entire year. You're trying to tell me of those 69 plays, there were more concussions than regular offense and defense? No, that's a complete lie. I will not buy into that. And I've never seen the data. I haven't. Do you have the data? You got the data? No, you don't. So it's a complete lie. But they're going to the college route. And the reason I ask you this, you've coached special teams. I see kickoff returns all the time in college. I do. Do you think we'll still see that in the NFL then?
The NFL kickers are so good at everything that they do, but especially what you said with placing the ball in the corners and the height and the distance and everything else. And they can obviously work on that all day. That's their job, right? If they don't do it, they're going to have somebody else come do it. So I do think you'll see teams take advantage of it. When that rule came into college a few years ago, we kind of a staff philosophy. We weren't going to fair catch unless we being killed in some kind of return game. We want to return. Special teams is the most exciting part of the game. It involves the biggest amount of field position, involves the most amount of players, huge momentum swings that can't be duplicated on O or D. And so we've only used a fair catch in necessary situations where we're struggling or something like that. But I think the NFL teams will probably start to use those. I don't think the rule will be non-existent. It won't be used, but I do think teams want to return. I think the guys, especially in the NFL, when you have dynamic returners that we obviously had last several years with Letcher, the game can change. The momentum can change.
There hasn't been as many kickoff returns for a touchdown. There was only 2 last year in the entire NFL. Kickoff returns for a touchdown, just 2. Why do you suppose that is? I know it's fewer teams. There's only 32 compared to the college world of that. But why do you think that is the case nowadays?
Combination of reasons. I think the NFL special teams coaches are very good. So the schemes are good, the blocking, the tackling, the destruction, so the schemes are good. The players are good. But I mean, how many times do you see an actual kickoff return in a game?
Not very often.
A couple times per team. And so a lot of the touchbacks, a lot of the out of the end zone kicks, if it's 4 or 5 yards deep, you're just not usually bringing that out anymore. We're used to bring that out all the time. So I think you probably have less returns than you have in previous years, or less potential returns. But only 2 all year. That's kind of surprising.
Yeah, only 2. And one of them happened the first game of the year. Devin Duvernay for the Baltimore Ravens returned one for a touchdown. And that's where I'm wondering if the NFL is much more, I don't want to say cautious than college when it comes to returns, that especially the Chiefs. If you're the Chiefs, why not just take the ball to the 25-yard line? Like, no matter what happens, don't even waste any time on the kickoff return. Just fair catch it. Pat, you got the ball at the 25-yard line. Like, do you think the Chiefs would get it past the 25-yard line? How often?
Our goal in our system is to get across to 30 if you have a kickoff return. So how often does that happen? Probably less than half the time. But with the way you can call penalties, and starting Mahomes anywhere is going to put you, at the 25 as opposed to the 15 or 10.
Yeah, because someone blocks in the back.
Exactly. So is that a huge difference for the Chiefs? Maybe not. But, when you, I just can't stress it enough, when you have a kickoff return, big return, or big touchdown, there's just nothing like that. A blocked punt or a punt return touchdown, but the special teams momentum swinger is just incredibly, the momentum just cannot be duplicated by anything else.
And I point this out. I just don't want special teams to go away. I don't want that. And it's the start of it, because, we're going to move the kickoff to the 25. I think NFL and the analytics that go into what they've got, they've already done, reports that, the Chiefs were negative when it comes to their kickoff return. If they would have just fair caught every one of them, they would have started in better field position than if they tried to return it over the entire year. Well, if that's why I wonder, if you're the Chiefs, why would you even try? Why would you even try, especially when you got Mahomes? Don't even, if it's one variable that you can eliminate that could be negative, why even try if you are the Kansas City Chiefs? And then same thing, punt return. When are they going to eliminate punt returns? Like it's the same situation, I think, in the next couple of years with the punt return. And the punt returns, the Chiefs arguably won the Super Bowl because of a punt return. Kadarius Toney, longest punt return in Super Bowl history, right? Like, I just don't want that to go away. And that's what scares me about this, is that every time we have something like this, it's the snowball effect. Oh, well, we're going to move this, and then we're going to move this, and now we're going to get to this. And pretty soon, the only thing we're going to have is field goals. That's it.
And, they've changed the rules a lot, right? In the NFL, they've bumped up the kickoff coverage team to a yard or two from the kick. Their punt formation, they can only have 2 guys down the field till the ball's kicked. That's why you still see all the pro style punt scheme, not the spread like you see in college.
Yeah.
The fair catch rule and all those different rules that come into play. But you're right, taking special teams out of the game changes football, changes the roster size. It might change who can make the team, and I don't see special teams ever fully going away. But some of the rule changes that have gone into effect have taken the importance out of them a little bit.
You were on kickoff return at one point, right?
Oh yeah, I think you play everything. If
Yeah.
You're,
Okay. I never once got a concussion on kickoff or kickoff return, and not even close.
Well, you were the star receiver, so you never got to play.
Well, I was the contain guy. I was the contain guy on kickoff, and I was the front. But on kickoff return, like there's only one collision that occurs on kickoff return, and that's the ball carrier. That's it. If you get a concussion on a kickoff return, then you as the returner, like blocking, you're terrible. Like you're not any good. Like you don't run full blast into someone on kickoff return. That's just, you're not going to sustain that block. So that's why I question the whole like, oh yeah, kickoff returns have the most concussions. No one is doing that. You just run them off. You run, you use your speed, and you grab a hold. Like, what am I missing something with the concussions on kickoff return outside of just the collision with the ball carrier?
I mean, you have guys running as fast as they can, full speed down the field, and there's usually 9 or 10 of them doing that. And so very rarely in football do you have 10 guys running at each other full speed. But you're right, the technique in a block and the way you get your head out of it and what the coach is coaching, you shouldn't have those huge collisions.
No.
Back when we were playing, you had the wedge.
Now the wedge, I could get that. I could understand that. And when they decided that you couldn't team up 4 people and just destroy somebody, that makes sense. I was okay with that. You can't do that now. But I just don't see it. Same thing with punt return. They've already gotten rid of the crackback block. You can't just smoke somebody who doesn't see you coming anymore. That doesn't work anymore. So you eliminate that situation. So that's why I don't know if there's a whole lot of concussions on the return game anymore.
I don't have the data, but I don't think we've had a couple years ago. I know we had a bad one, but I can't pinpoint ones that we had each year.
Mm-hmm.
We're changing our scheme because of things we saw, anything like that.
Yeah. Interesting. So how do you get your take? We got a lot more to get to. Defensive coordinator Zach Watkins of the Washburn Ichabods joining us. We got Everyone Loves the List. We're going to go with toughest positions in sports. That's coming up next here on Mic'd Up. And today our list is the toughest positions in sports. All right. Toughest positions in sports, any sport. All right, Kyle, what's your number 4?
My number 4, I'll go with classic quarterback.
Quarterback, okay?
Just so much you have to look at.
Zach Watkins, what's your number 4?
Goalkeeper in soccer.
Goalkeeper in soccer. I went catcher in MLB because it's 2 things. You got to catch, do so much things, call a game, and then actually hit a baseball, which is difficult. Number 3, what do you got?
I'm going to go catcher in baseball, too.
Okay.
There's so much on mental.
What's your 3rd?
Was catcher.
Catcher?
Because you do have to hit a baseball. That's the most important skill, or the toughest skill to me in sports. But yeah, catcher.
Yeah, catcher. Number 3 for me is an elite level wrestler. Like if you wrestle at like Iowa or Oklahoma State, wrestling is so hard to me. Like so hard. Oh man, mental. It's all by yourself. That wrestling's tough. That's so hard. What do you got for number 2?
Cornerback in football.
Corner in football. What do you got number 2?
Corner in football. I think all the rules in the NFL, rules in college, are so geared away from the defense and towards the offense. And corner is, you're on an island all the time.
You're playing basically tag with the receiver.
Especially in the NFL. You
Can't touch him. Can't
touch him
touch
after
him.
5. Yeah.
Now in the MLB, you can murder him and it's no penalty.
Yes.
Number 2. Or no, my number 2. My number 2. Goalie in the NHL. I think goalie's so hard. Oh my goodness. Goalie, very difficult, pressure packed. What's your hardest position in sports? What do you got?
Goalie in hockey's my number 1.
Goalie
I
in
can't
hockey.
even stay on ice.
They don't have to skate a whole lot, but I think goalie's really hard. That's why it's my number 2. What's your number 1?
Quarterback in football. I don't think there's any, debate about football being such a demanding sport in general, but you cannot win if you don't have a quarterback. And there's so much to process, and the leadership and the ability. I think there's a massive gap between 4, 3, 2, all the way to 1 between a quarterback being number 1.
Mine's quarterback, number 1. I think people would crap themselves if they had to see what Patrick Mahomes sees every day. I think they have no clue. First of all, if you've never seen an NFL game up close, you'd view it differently. You'd be like, they're doing what out there? Like when we say there's a car crash every play in the NFL, there is. Like it's incredible. It really is. So quarterback in the NFL by far the hardest. Coming up, we'll get to the latest news when it comes to the college football world from the Pac-12. Back in on Mic'd Up. Jake Lamont with Kyle Manthe filling in for Fulton Caster. Royals baseball coming up. We'll get to some more Royals in the 2 o'clock hour here on Mic'd Up. Hit us up on our text line, 785-272-9429. Let us know what you think is the toughest position in sports. From the YouTube comments, hockey goalie. I think the hockey goalie is very, very difficult. That's why it's number 2 on my list. Maybe I put catcher too low when it comes to that, but all three of us had catcher on our list for everyone loves the list in this situation. So very similar. I will not have corner on my list because forget them. I don't care about them. They hold, they grab, they cheat. And it's not hard to be a cornerback. Be better. Okay. It's not my fault that you're not as talented and as skilled as, Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson for the Vikings. He might be the best player in the NFL, and no one's saying a corner is the best in the NFL, right? Sorry. Can't put it on my list. Sorry. You cheat, you hold, and then when there's an incomplete pass that you had nothing to do with it, and then you brag that you were the sole reason why that occurred, that had nothing to do with it, and I will die on that hill. That is one hill, along with I'm never too good for free, that I will die on. That and short side option of the short side of the field on offense, the worst play in football. I will get. And then the fade, good play. If you want me to get going, I can get going when it comes to this.
Is that 3 hills that you're going to die on?
Oh, there's a lot of hills I'll die on this show.
Okay.
Anyone who listens to the show knows that I will 100% die on a lot of hills. But the number one hill to die on might be don't run options the short side of the field. Unless you're Tommy Frazier and the Cornhuskers in 95. Then that might be okay. But no one is Tommy Frazier, and you're not the Huskers of 1995. Just ask the Florida Gators. Zach Watkins staying with us here to chat a little bit more. The defensive coordinator for the Washburn Ichabods joining us here in studio to get his take on a few different football topics. But there is some big news when it comes to the college realignment season, if you will. And that news today, according to Ross Dellinger of Sports Illustrated, tweeted this out today. The Pac-12 schools have verbally agreed to a grant of rights with a merit-based revenue sharing model. The key word is verbally. Now, the merit-based revenue sharing model is what the ACC has adopted, which means if you are good, you get the rewards. Which, as we found out in the Big 12, is a terrible, terrible model to do. You give a mouse a cookie, he's going to ask for milk. Hey, yeah, if you're really good, we'll give you money. Still not going to be enough money. The people who are going to leave for greener and more money pastures will do so. Just ask Oklahoma and Texas. But according to this, the key word here is verbally. Verbal can become signature binding with a satisfactory media rights deal. So everyone in the Pac-12 are on board with let's all stay together if this new TV deal is worth it. That is the first time that I've actually seen this type of stance from the Pac-12 schools that, hey, we're all in agreement. If it's a good media deal, we're all going to stay together. If it's not, then sorry, Charlie, to each their own. They were supposed to have their media deal done in April and then May and then June. So I don't think the media deal is coming. I don't. I think that's the reason why they haven't all hopped on board and said, yes, we're all together. They're waiting for the TV deal to come out. We now know that ESPN is not going to be the main distributor of Pac-12 football. Well, today, the Colorado Board of Regents are having a meeting. And in their meeting, they are going to discuss a an athletic department issue. That's all it says. The Board of Regents aren't stupid. They got their job because they're smart. You can't put on there the specific title because then Freedom of Information Act, you can see all of that. That is public knowledge. What the Board of Regents talks about, you get to see. So, Colorado is going to talk about an athletic department issue in and actually now making sure that I have this, a special board meeting coming up. Colorado's been very, they're the ones kind of with the loose lips right now in being the one who might be interested in leaving. But they are holding a special meeting to discuss athletic matters. They're not just going to have a discussion of athletics because they want to talk about their new head football coach. No. You don't have a special board of directors meeting to do this. So I think where there's smoke, there's fire. And I think we're looking at maybe Colorado, and also there have been some reports that Arizona is kind of the same situation when it comes to the latest college football realignment. I would love Colorado in the Big 12 as a nostalgic individual because I grew up with the Big 8. The Big 8 was still the best. Loved the Big 8. Nothing better than the Big 8. And then those teams from Texas ruined everything. I don't know if Colorado is the great addition financially because nobody in Colorado cares about college sports. They care about the Nuggets. They care about the Broncos. They care about just pro sports. That's what they care about. They don't care about college athletics. But I think this would be best for the Big 12. You're an Independence guy. So did you cheer for the Tigers growing up?
Yeah. Yep.
So MIZ.
Yep. Back in the day, not now.
Not now. Okay. So you didn't finish it there.
No, since I came
that.
to college, I haven't had a college team except for where I was playing and coaching.
Yeah.
Love college sports. I'll watch football, watch basketball, watch everything, but no allegiance to any team.
Okay.
It faded away pretty quick when you start playing at Washburn. You don't really care about any other team because you're playing there.
Yeah.
At least for me. So
As a guy growing up in Kansas City, like was Missouri KU a big deal?
Yeah. Yeah. It was the border war, right? I mean, the KU basketball was dominant, but there was a few years Mizzou was really good and you had good games. And then I forgot the exact year. Maybe it was 07, 08, where they played for the Big 12 title at Arrowhead, and game day was there and all that. And when that went away, a lot of my high school buddies are Mizzou fans, and a lot of college buddies are KU fans. And so a lot of that went away when the conference adjusted.
Yeah, I think KU and Mizzou should play every year. And then I look at it as K-State, Nebraska should play every year. Like, that's the thing that bums me about that. Those four schools, I mean, they're all within 3.5 hours of each other. Can you get to Lincoln from Columbia in 4 hours? I think you could. Maybe that might be a little bit further.
Yeah, a little further.
I mean, it only takes us 3 hours from Topeka to get to Columbia. That's all it takes.
I mean, I think you're right, though. When I was growing up, it was the Big 12, and it came from the Big 8, and it just
like, that's the thing that I hate about all of this.
It made sense because they're all right there in the Midwest and in one straight line. Yeah.
You don't really have to deal with that at the D2 level, do you?
We have some teams we've added and teams have left the conference. We've had some realignment, especially the past 4 or 5 years, with Lincoln leaving us after next year too. So we'll see some of that, but not wholesale changes where you're bringing in teams from the coast to play in the Midwest League and vice versa. So,
but that's the one thing that I'm so bummed about when it comes to the Division I level is everything has changed. And honestly, if if this expansion of the Big 12, and I want the Big 12 to get like 20 teams. I want them to take everybody. Take Arizona, Arizona State, Washington, and Utah. Take all 4 of those schools. And if you can poach somebody from somewhere else, like get to 20. Make this as the country's national conference. That's what I want. I want as many teams as you can that are involved. If you're in a Power 5 institution outside of, like the Wazoos and the Oregon States and Cal, Arizona State, Washington, Oregon, if you could bring them in, they're not going to want to. They're going to want to stay for the Big Ten. But give me the biggest and give me the biggest conference. That's what I would want.
Do you think it trends that way?
I think so.
Super conferences.
Oh yeah, I think there's going to end up being 3 of them. I don't think the Pac-12 is going to get a big deal. I don't. Nobody out in the West Coast cares about sports, and the 2 that did, the 2 biggest draws, USC and UCLA, they're gone. If Oregon and Washington were as big a draw as they think they are, they would have joined already USC and UCLA. Otherwise, the Big Ten is like, no, we don't want you. We'll just take the LA market. We'll just take USC and UCLA. No one cares. Like Cal shouldn't even be Division 1. Cal should be Division 3. They don't care. They don't care about that. Oregon State, they might have 9,000 fans. Like they don't care. Like the people in SEC country, they're nuts. Like they are absolutely nuts when it comes to that. And now that we're going to the digital route and streaming, you know exactly how many people are watching. Hey, our program people are interested in. Ole Miss football gets way better ratings than Oregon State. That's just how they're built down there. It's different. So I do. That's why I would try to get as many big conference, as big as you want to get if you're the Big 12. And I hope that ends up happening. Because then the Big 12 will be safe. Because you don't want to be Washington State or Oregon State and you're left out. Like you didn't get picked in the game of tag. You weren't desirable enough, apparently. Or, like when you were growing up, you did the snowball dance at the skating rink where, someone picks you and then they pick someone and you're just sitting there last. That's Wazoo and Cal right now and Oregon State. Ain't nobody wants you. Stanford, they can go independent. They got more money than anybody. They can do independent. They can do whatever. They're fine. They might join the Big Ten, to be honest with you, because they got so much money. And academically, they're one of the best institutions in the country. But yeah, you don't want to be left out. That's why I want the Big 12 to get as many teams as they possibly can. That's what I would want if I was in charge of the Big 12. Don't need Gonzaga. Don't need UConn. Basketball doesn't drive the bus. I'm sorry. Gonzaga, they don't even have football. Why would you bring in a school that doesn't have football? That makes no sense. UConn, if I'm UConn, I don't join the Big 12. Your brand is basketball. Just dominate the Big East. Do what you're doing. No point. I wouldn't want UConn football anyways, because they're terrible too. They went independent for a while. Yeah, no, don't need that. I think they even went down to FCS. Don't need UConn. Don't need Gonzaga. Basketball's great. It's not the draw that football is. Coming up, we'll get a quick timeout. We'll finish up this 1 o'clock hour and the PGA Tour versus, the Public Investment Fund. Rory McIlroy has spoke. We will hear from Rory coming up in the 2 o'clock hour.
WIPW Topeka, FM 104.9.
Finishing up the 1 o'clock hour here on Mic'd Up. Once again, our list today, the toughest positions in sports. An interesting one, pole vaulting. Never thought of that one. But yeah, that looks like it could be difficult. Being upside down while trying to do something, quite difficult. Very, very difficult. Top of the hour. We're going to get to the latest news on the PGA Tour versus the Public Investment Fund. We'll hear from Rory McIlroy. We have still Zach Watkins joining us here in studio. Are you allowed to go to any of the Chiefs OTAs or mini camp or anything like that? To sit and watch?
Yep.
Have you ever done that?
Not the Chiefs, but other teams. Yeah. Teams that when Joe Hastings and Will Hoyt have coached and played, I've been to those.
How just different is that?
The OTAs are way different than they used to be just because of the collective bargaining and the rules. They're mostly non-padded and shortened down. But the NFL practice is a different animal because it's a lot of, they're still teaching, right? But it is a lot more, this is your job, let's get it done and then go home for the day. So it's a lot more cut and dry than maybe a college football practice is.
Same, but they go through the same type of schedule. Like their practice schedule is kind of similar to yours.
Yeah, I mean it's a lot more detailed. We have 5-minute periods for our practice. It's just easier to chunk it up that way. They've got 7 minutes here, 4 minutes here, 11 minutes here. There's
that?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, think about it. That's $1 billion business. You're going to have
as
much attention to detail as you can. And to answer your question on OTAs, it's kind of up to the team what they want to do. It's more than legal to come in and watch a practice or participate, but it's whatever that organization's rules are.
So you can just take some notes on some drills and stuff like that. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, some teams let you sit in on all meetings, practice, film.
I don't see Andy Reid allowing you to do that.
He's the Chiefs haven't always been willing to do that.
I can see that.
Maybe watching obviously like a training camp practice there in St. Joe kind of thing, but some teams are wide open. Some teams are maybe you can just watch practice and that's it. Kind of up to the head coach and organization what they want to do.
Interesting. So as a defensive guy, linebacker, played at a terrific level, coaching it. How would you stop Mahomes?
I mean, the best player in the world, the MVP. You're never going to stop him, but you have to make him not do what he wants to do, right? So whatever they do well that year, that season, that game, whether it's a matchup, player, scheme, but you just can't let them do what they do well. And if he's going to beat you, he's got to beat you doing something that they don't do as often or as thoroughly as their bread and butter.
Like when you're watching the Super Bowl, right? And in the second half, I don't think Mahomes threw a close pass. Like Andy Reid put Shane Steichen? No, Gannon, the defense coordinator for the Eagles, in a clown suit. Like when you watch that and you see all the motions and do you look at that and you just shake your head going, that's not fair?
I mean, the design that Andy Reid and Bieniemy come up with and the way Mahomes can execute it is just obviously it's a different level than anything else. That's why they're world champs. But your game plan going in has to just be limit more than stop because you're not going to stop everything that they do. Do
you ever like rewind it and you go, what would I do in that situation as a defensive coordinator?
Yeah, my wife doesn't love watching football on TV because I'll pause it, rewind it, I'll record a game, go back. Chiefs games we'll watch live. We're working all throughout the fall.
Yeah.
But if we catch a Chiefs game, we'll watch it live and we'll cheer. We're still big Chiefs fans, but a random college game or like the Monday night game or the Thursday night game, we'll analyze that a lot more than just watch it. So, yeah.
Did you ever pick anything up like, ooh, I should do that?
It's definitely. It's tough with the TV copy because you just see what the TV is showing the receiver.
You'd like the all 22 view. That would be the best thing. So we got a lot more to get to coming up in the 2 o'clock hour. We'll hear from Rory McIlroy. We'll talk a little Royals baseball. Fun fact, Zach Watkins used to work for the Royals. We'll get to that coming up. Much more to finish off this edition of Mic'd Up. Wednesday. Thank you so much for joining us. Jake LeBon and Kyle Manthe filling in for Fulton Caster. Have not gotten any fishing photos from Fulton, so therefore I assume he has not caught anything yet today. Fulton knows me better enough to know that picks or it didn't happen. We got a lot to get to in this final hour. Tomorrow, we are going to hear from Andy Reid and maybe Chris Jones. He's not been at OTA, so maybe we won't hear from Chris Jones, maybe Travis Kelce, but it's the final OTA for the Kansas City Chiefs. And then next week is mandatory minicamp. So we will get to that as well. Lots to get in this final hour of Mic'd Up. As always, let us know your thoughts on our text line, 785-272-9429. Outside of Topeka, 785-272-9429. Check us out on YouTube, Sports on 580. Subscribe, hit the like button for all of our videos and our live stream, 580 Sports Talk Mic'd Up, recaps of all the high school local games here in the capital city. We'll talk some more Royals baseball. They are in action tonight, trying to avoid a 3-game losing streak and to get swept by the Miami Marlins. Odds are not great. Jordan Lyles is pitching for the Kansas City Royals. The lineup, I believe, is out already, if I'm not mistaken. And the Royals will be Nick Pratto back up, leading off. Vinny Pasquantino batting second. Perez at third behind the dish. Melendez in right, batting cleanup. Bobby Witt Jr. batting fifth at short. Nicky Lopez at second. Michael Massey at DH. Michael Garcia at third. And then Jackie Bradley Jr. in center. Which makes me realize, did they give Drew Waters, is this back-to-back off days for Drew Waters? Did he play yesterday? Because if he didn't, why is Jackie Bradley Jr. playing at all? I'm sorry, there's no point in Jackie Bradley Jr. playing baseball. No, Drew Waters did play yesterday, so that's fine. Drew Waters gets a day off, actually had a hit yesterday. So you want to give Waters a day off today, gets another day off tomorrow. That makes sense. Edward Olivares, can we go and just shut down the whole Olivares potential? Made another error yesterday. He commits more errors than Chuck Knobloch at second base when he couldn't throw. Let's just go ahead and end the Edward Olivares tenure for the Kansas City Royals and bring up somebody else. Bring up Nick Lofton. Bring up literally anybody else. When Isbell comes back after he hopefully gets his hamstring figured out, then Jackie Bradley Jr. Or keep Bradley Jr. because he can at least field a fly ball. We do know that. So a lot to get to in this final hour. Staying with us, defensive coordinator for the Washburn Ichabods, Zach Watkins, going to stay in. He joined us to talk a little Chiefs and a little college football. So we will we'll keep picking your brain if that's all right.
Please do.
We'll keep talking with defensive coordinator Zach Watkins. We do want to get to some updates from Rory McIlroy. The PGA Tour and the Public Investment Fund, because that's really the merge here. It's not LIV, because the only reason LIV is around is because of the Public Investment Fund. And I give a lot of credit to Rory McIlroy, one, because he took the shield for Jay Monahan, the backstabber, and Mr. Benedict Arnold, and basically trotted out Rory as the face of the PGA Tour. And then you completely stabbed him in the back. And even today, Rory McIlroy did say, it does feel like I was a sacrificial lamb. He has been better at describing the agreement between the PGA Tour and the PIF than the guy who actually did the deal in Jay Monahan. That's how much, to me, a putz Jay Monahan is. So this is what Rory McIlroy, who has been so pro PGA Tour, had to say about the merger between the two.
The one thing I would say is again, whether you like it or not, the PIF and the Saudis want to spend money in the game of golf. It is, they want to do this, and they weren't going to stop. So how can we, the thing for me, and this is one thing that I've always thought about, how can we get that money into the game, but use it the right way? And I think that's what this ultimately will do, hopefully. I mean, that's my hope.
Got one in the front right over here.
Just over here. You've said a couple of times now, maybe 2 or 3 times, if I remove myself from it and kind of trying to kind of forecast a bit further down the line. But is that a hint that there are bits of you that are still uncomfortable with, you're a football watcher, you've seen the reaction to Newcastle United's takeover over the last year and the Saudi kind of moves in soccer and other sports.
Yeah.
Is there a bit of you that's still uncomfortable with just how cozy Saudi Arabia and their money is now in golf? Like, a lot of people would see that it controls a hell of a lot of golf.
I've come to terms with it. I see what happened in other sports. I see what's happened in other businesses. And honestly, I've just resigned myself to the fact that this is, this is what's going to happen. Like, it's very hard to keep up with people that have more money than anyone else. And again, if they want to put that money into the game of golf, then why don't we partner with them and make sure that it's done in the right way? And that's sort of where my head's at.
So that is what Rory McIlroy had to say. That minute 45 clip is better than anything Jay Monahan has ever put out in the last 2 years. But there are 2 things with that. One is he's right. He is right. They've got so much money, $680 billion worth, that you can't fight against that. You just can't fight. It's like, me trying to go up against, Kellogg's cereal. Like, they would dwarf me. Like, oh, hey, I think Kellogg's is bad. I'm going to sue Kellogg's. They're like, yeah, you're just a little guy. I'll flick you away. Like, you don't have a chance. They will pour so much more money and resources into it than you will. It's a lot like college football. There's the reason why Alabama and Georgia win, because they put so much more resources into college football than KU does. It's not spending money a lot of times helps. And Live Golf, the Saudi investment fund, or the public investment fund of Saudi Arabia, they spent $2 billion and they've gained nothing. They have gained absolutely nothing out of it. That is a negative. They are in the red. It's not even close. They get 3,000 viewers on the CW. I mean, more people watch Paw Patrol than watch the Live Golf Tour. That's just the way it is. More people watch, Bubble Guppies or Peppa Pig. I know Bluey, because Bluey's huge, than they do on the CW of Live. Nobody goes to, do people even realize there was a Live Golf event in Tulsa, Oklahoma? Literally 3 hours away. Nobody went. Nobody cared. And they still are pouring money into Live Golf because they don't even care about money. They have so much money. $1 billion to the Saudis and the public investment fund is like a 5 spot to me. Actually, it's probably even more like a nickel to me. That's how much. Like, it's incredible how much money they have. And so Rory finally realizes, look, they're going to spend money. They're going to have a ton of money, and they're not going to stop. The guy who runs the public investment fund is a golf nut. He loves golf. And he also wants his country to be involved in the business world. What's the best way to do that? Start out in golf. They're moving into soccer, buying Newcastle, buying those type, and trying to buy, the Cristiano Ronaldo. They failed on Messi. He's going to sign with Inter Milan or Inter Miami. The one thing that I think Rory needs to realize, and where I think Rory is wrong, is he said there, and I'll play it again. Listen to what Rory says about where the money is going to go.
The one thing I would say is, again, whether you like it or not, the PIF and the Saudis want to spend money in the game of golf.
Correct.
It is, they want to do this, and they weren't going to stop. So how can we, the thing for me, and this is this one thing that I've always thought about, how can we get that money into the game, but use it the right way?
See, that's the problem. You don't have control of that money, Rory. If anybody knows anything, the person who writes the checks has the final say. The only person who's allowed to invest in the PGA Tour right now is the Public Investment Fund. They have the right of refusal to bring anybody else in. They have more money than everybody combined. But if you think we have to use the money in the right spot, well, let's say Jay Monahan, who's going to be the CEO of this new entity, and we don't even know what the entity is. We have no clue. Live Golf could still be around. It might not. They might form. It might be, the lame World Golf Association, the WGA, what they're going to form. Jay Monahan is not going to be in control of where that money is spent, the big decisions. It's going to be the Public Investment Fund, because if you are supplying the money, you are in charge. Look at the Royals. JJ Piccolo wants to go out and he wants to go buy Juan Soto. Hey, I'm going to go spend. I want to go buy Juan Soto. John Sherman's going to go, no, you're not. Where are you going to get that money? I ain't giving it to you. So maybe the day-to-day operations, Jay Monahan, who will be the CEO of this new golf entity, yeah, you can take care of that. Oh, you want to put the money there? Okay, that's fine. But if it's a big deal or whatever, really, the direction that they want to go, that's going to be the Public Investment Fund. That's where the money's coming from. That's why I think Rory might be a little naive there. And he already whiffed on it. He vouched for the wrong guy. He didn't take the money. Now, he says in his press conference today, he was never offered a LIV contract. I think LIV realizes he was never going to come to LIV, and so they never even offered him. Because there were reports that they offered him like $300 million. So the PGA Tour and the Public Investment Fund are now together. But it's the bankroll is coming from, like, and long story short, the Public Investment Fund just bought golf. That's what has occurred right now in golf. Some people don't care. Doesn't matter. I have no idea what's going to happen going forward. You're a golf guy. You like to watch golf.
Yeah.
Honestly, does this affect golf? Because let me ask you this: when do you watch golf?
Saturdays and Sundays if I'm home.
Okay, Saturdays and Sundays if you're home.
Yeah.
But what golf?
I'll watch a lot, but majors.
The majors.
Yeah.
Like a part of me, and I thought about this over the last 24 hours, how many people actually watch, the RBC Open that's happening? How many people watch Riviera? How many people watch the Clam Bake, the Pebble Beach Pro-Am? How many people watch, the Phoenix Open? Not many people do. They care about 4 tournaments, the majors. And I want people to understand this. The PGA Tour and LIV, they have no control over the majors. They don't. Not a single one of them. Not one major is going to be controlled by the Public Investment Fund or the new whatever tour we're going to start. Augusta National is its own separate deal. They can do whatever they want. They told Phil 2 years ago, don't come. Phil didn't come. The PGA is completely separate from the PGA Tour. I don't think people realize that. The PGA is its own entity. They determine whatever they want to do. They're their own company. They're not owned by anybody. The U.S. Open is run by the USGA, United States Golf Association. The British Open is owned by the RNA, the Royal and Ancient, right? Founders of golf. They have nothing to do with the Public Investment Fund. So really, what's going to change? Like, I really don't know. Like, the grand scheme of it, now that I've got 2 kids and my weekends are a little bit more filled, much like yourself, like, I just kind of pay attention to the four majors. I care about Augusta, the U.S. Open, the Open, and the PGA. Really, oh, the Valero Open.
I'm a golf nut, so I'm going to watch that on Saturday and Sunday if I'm home.
Like-
but the casual fan's not going to watch
No.
12 golf tournaments a year. They're not going to be home Sunday from 2 to 6 just watching golf, especially in the summertime, right? By the thing I took away from it is I'm glad, and again, you kind of hit on the head of what you know, what's it going to be? Is it going to be one tour? What's the entity going to be? But I'm excited all the guys that are kind of back in one spot, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
All the live guys, the DN, all those guys coming back to one tour where it's truly the best golfers in the world playing against each other, right? Maybe the Ryder Cup and President's Cup and all those things can eventually be sorted out because they're all back on the same tour.
I think in the grand scheme of it, if you just look at the sport, right? Separate sport from, if you want to, politics, if you will. I think this is good because everybody's under one roof. You get the I mean, that's people why they love the NFL, is because the best players in the world play in the NFL, the NBA. Like the best players in the world play in the NBA. Like that's why to me soccer it's exciting to watch the English Premier League. Because overall, the best players in the world play in the English Premier League.
Definitely.
You know, and that's why it's exciting to watch that, where you're watching a sub product with it's kind of like, you know, the PGA Tour is the MLS and Live is like League One or La Liga, you know, in Spain, right? You know, you got a couple good teams, a couple good players, you know, Barcelona, Real Madrid, that's cool. And then you got a whole bunch of, you know, like the Taylor Gooches of the world who nobody cares about. That's, you know, like teams that'll get relegated. Taylor Gooch didn't need to take that stray. I'm sorry. But, and then you got the MLS, which is, you know, hey, you got a lot of well-known teams and names, the Scotty Schefflers, the Rorys, the John Rahms. Hey, we know that here. But it's, if you combine both of them, it would be a better sport. So I do think that's going to be better, no question. But this is where, you know, like the dream scenario, just golf wise, take out, you know, that, you know, the Saudis are basically owning golf now. Like you could do so many different things now. Team golf. I do think team golf could be fun. You know, put together a team, you know, that's why the Ryder Cup is so much fun. Team golf, the unity. It's going to be hard to start off with because no one cares about, you know, the 4 aces or the goat yards or something like that. But I think it could be fun. You know, you have a captain, they pick their team, and, you know, that I think that could be fun going in the future. Because, like, stroke play week after week after week, it's boring.
And I mean, that's why I think match play, when they do a match play tournament, it just takes off because people don't see that a lot.
Mhm.
And match play is fun, it's different. And something as simple as seeing a guy pick up a putt because your playing partner said that's a gimme or that's good is just different than what you see every week in the PGA Tour. So I do agree, mixing in the team element, match play, all the international competition. I think that's all going to benefit.
Does it make you a little bit sad, though, that it is the more money you got, you're going to end up winning? Does it make you a little bit sad? Or this is just a more media covered, more money always wins?
Probably a combination of both. I mean, I think the media covering anything is going to get more attention, right? But the higher dollar values, the higher money people usually, especially in sports, you know, usually ends up, whether they have success or not, that's to be determined, but they create a league, buy a league. I mean, that's why Live even started. Was Live successful? No, but it started because of the money that was available.
It's a tough lesson.
If Jake LeBon's on the PGA Tour, does he leave for Live?
If Jake LeBon was offered a set of an amount, money, everybody's got their price.
Yeah,
everybody's got their price. You know, like I said to Kellis Robinette, hey, Kellis, you cover the K-State Wildcats. If I said you got to go cover a junior college in northern Montana, but I'll pay you $1 million. Look who's moving to Montana. You know, maybe that's an easier decision because, you know, they're not morally terrible up in Montana.
Sure. But yeah, I mean, things will have a price, right?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. In this situation, Yeah, that makes it interesting. It really, really does. So I thought Rory spoke so. Bryson DeChambeau went on a TV station earlier today, and he spoke, and my goodness, that man needs to not talk in front of a microphone because he has no idea what he's talking about.
Well, that's what we were talking off air about, is that Rory he was eloquent and he spoke well and he knew what he was talking about. He was confident. Like, you knew that he did not know about the decision, it seemed, but he seemed to be able to speak on what him and other tour pros are probably thinking in a very clear and concise way.
Yeah, and all of this is the framework of it. We have no idea what's going to happen. It could be, who knows? Liv could still be around. Now, Rory hates Liv because he didn't want a separate tour. He's like, look, I hate Liv. Liv ruined the game of golf in his mind because it separated everybody. He wants that to go. It might stay. We have no idea what's going to end up happening. It's not Liv Golf, and he made that very clear. It's not PGA and Liv that are combining. It is the PGA and the Public Investment Fund that are combining. The money is what is combining with the PGA Tour, not wherever the Liv Golf is. But we have no idea. That's what makes this such a wild situation that's happening in the golf world. And like I said yesterday, this is the first time that golf has been a national topic since Tiger Woods won the Masters. We're talking about golf right now, and it doesn't involve Tiger Woods. That hasn't happened since 1997, to be honest with you. When Tiger Woods won the Masters in 97 by 800 shots, everything that people talked about in golf involved Tiger Woods, except this. Maybe, all publicity is good publicity, maybe, right? We'll see. Coming up next, you did what? Sports decisions. And then we'll talk a little Royals baseball here on Mic'd Up. Today, and you did what? And I cannot believe this. It is so stupid. And we're getting more and more details from this. Isaiah Rodgers played for the Indianapolis. Well, technically he's not suspended yet, but he will. But the NFL is investigating Indianapolis Colts cornerback and kick returner Isaiah Rodgers for possible violations of the league's gambling policy. The team acknowledged the inquiry on Monday, saying in a statement without naming Rodgers, "We are aware of the investigation. We have no further comment at this time." Rodgers then addressed the situation in a tweet. He said this in his good old Notes app. "Addressing the current reports, I want to take full responsibility for my actions. I know I have made mistakes and I am willing to do whatever it takes to repair the situation. The last thing I ever wanted to do was to be a distraction to the Colts organization, my coaches, and my teammates. I've let people down that I care about. I've made an error in judgment, and I'm going to work hard to make sure that those mistakes are rectified through this process. It's an honor to play in the NFL, and I have never taken that lightly. I am very sorry for all of this." That is what Isaiah Rodgers had to say. All right. I want to get to this first of all. It says, "I'm very sorry for..." No, you're not. You bet like multiple bets, like hundreds of bets. You can bet if you're an NFL player on college basketball, on college football, on the NBA. Maybe you're big into Aussie rules football. Maybe you like cricket. Maybe you're big into cricket, right? You can bet on that. You can bet on all of that. There are two things you can't do. You can't bet on the NFL, and you cannot bet at the facility. That is ironclad, written in stone. It might as well be a commandment in the NFL. And he's like, "I am very sorry for that." No, you weren't. "I made bad judgment." No, you made a bad, straight up life choice. Because there are rumors now that he was wagering like $10 and $20 bets. You're going to risk your NFL career on a $20 bet? How stupid can you be? You did what? That's what you decided to do? I am floored at this. Just absolutely floored that someone would risk their $400,000. This will be his fourth year in the league. League minimum around 400. You're going to risk your $600,000 job for a couple $20 bets. I hope those were like the superest long shot parlays that you hit. Otherwise, why are you wagering that little if you're risking your $600,000 job? Go for the big score, man. What are you bet your entire paycheck? At least you're going to make money potentially on that, because now you're not going to have a job. I mean, and it's not like he started 9 games last year. Like, he had a job in the NFL. Hey, Zach, you cannot gamble. You cannot bet, right? You are an NCAA coach.
Yep.
You cannot bet, right? Rick Newhouse learned that the hard way, right? You cannot bet. Hey, are you going to bet a $5 wager on, the Royals to win today? It's going to cost you your job?
No.
Like,
No.
I'm just like, when I see this type of stuff, like Calvin Ridley bet on an NFL game, a legitimate number 2 wide receiver, Calvin Ridley, wagered $100 on a bet. I'm at a loss for words.
Yeah, it's just not a good decision, especially when it's in general, if it's illegal for whatever you do, but especially in a job like that, the NFL, the Cadillac of your profession, like making that kind of money.
Speaking of gambling, like, and I've had to tell people this, colleges at the very beginning of every single season, you get sat down and you're like, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, right? You guys do that, still do that,
Yep.
I'm assuming? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Really simple, really easy. People are like, well, maybe they weren't informed. They're informed. Trust me. You're informed. Do you ever worry about gambling now? Maybe not at the Division II level, but you think, we had the Iowa State situation happen a couple months ago. Like, do you think Do you think we'll have a point shaving scandal in college?
I don't know. It's obviously happened before, maybe before it was legalized. Kansas, you're in a tough spot because Kansas is, legal sports betting, and hopefully it's not occurring where it shouldn't be. But I guess you don't know that until things like that happen or come to light or an investigation.
The Alabama baseball coach, giving some info out there to somebody betting. He was betting on games. He didn't make the bet, but that's mind blowing to me.
I'll play craps. Craps is my gambling.
That's not gambling. Well, that's not sports gambling.
Yeah, which is totally fine. You can do that. But
yes, of course you can. You can go put, your whole paycheck up on black. I don't care. I mean, if you do that, I would like to come and watch.
Sure.
It's kind of exciting.
Yeah,
I'm not going to lie to you. I think that'd be kind of fun. But that's my you did what? Isaiah Rodgers. There are certain things that I did not realize people would be that stupid to do. And that was one of them. Do you have a you did what? Sports related?
Yeah, it just kind of popped into my head. The also involves the Colts, but the Colts fake punt from
way back when.
I think Pat McAfee was the punter. The receiver came up and took the snap in the swinging gate formation, and football's a numbers game, right? And you look out there and you judge your numbers. Do you run this play? And they did not have the numbers, and they snapped the ball and just got tackled right
Yes.
there. Yeah. So when you first said that was the first play to pop into my mind was the Colts fake punt.
Yes, it was against the Patriots.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure it was a receiver that came up and took the snap. And
so whose fault is that? It's got to be the center's fault, right? He snaps the ball.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure coaching wise, you prepare for that. Hey, if they give us this look, if you have a numbers advantage, if we get the things we've seen on film.
I'm just watching it now. It's hysterical.
Run it. But they apparently did not get that look that they practiced and they rehearsed, and they said, if you get this look, run it. And they're probably going to waste, because if I remember right, they're on the minus side of the field, so they can take a delay of game and kick the ball. But no, they snapped it and got tackled right away, and Patriots ball. So yeah, you did what, right?
No, that's a fantastic one. I'm watching that right now. Pat McAfee was playing at the time, yes. And
who's the receiver that comes in? Can you
number 32.
So maybe it wasn't a receiver.
And he took the snap and got tackled immediately, and he had no chance of getting it. That one, and then when the Cowboys tried to do their little secret play, or not secret play, but the last play of the game, and Zeke Elliott got absolutely destroyed. Now Zeke Elliott knows what it's like to be an offensive or someone not prepared as an offensive lineman.
So as a football coach, you drop on the whiteboard and everything works, right? Like you can block everybody, you can defend everything, but then when you get into reality with people moving and people thinking on their own, a lot of that stuff doesn't work. And so some of those ideas are much better left at home. Apparently, yeah.
Also, another terrible you did what that happened last week. Matt Cottrero deciding he doesn't care about perfect games. I'm still bothered by that. Fulton's not here right now. He would get mad at me. But the Royals were perfect through 7 innings, and Matt Cottrero decided to keep Mike Myers out there. I don't know if I'll ever forgive him for that. Coming up next, we're going to talk a little Royals baseball. And fun fact, Zach Watkins used to work for the Royals. That's right. You probably saw him back in the day on the field. We will get to a little Royals baseball gearing up for their final game against the Marlins. Jake LeBon along with Kyle Manthe filling in. Joining us today, he's just decided to stay the entire show today. We appreciate Zach Watkins coming in. And Zach, you've got an interesting history. You used to work for the Kansas City Royals. You were a starting pitcher for the Royals. No, you were part of the grounds crew, the tarp crew as a high school kid.
Yeah, I grew up about 4 or 5 miles from Kauffman Stadium in Independence. And a friend's dad worked on the grounds crew, and there's two kind of crews. The grounds crew is the full-time salaried benefits crew, and then we were on the tarp crew. So we show up about an hour before the game, get the dugouts prepped with gum and seeds and all the stuff the guys need, get the batting cages inside set up with balls and all that, painted the lines, foul lines, raked the warning track.
Did you ever like screw up really, really bad?
I was the lowest guy on the totem pole, so I had not much responsibility. And then, like if you go to a game between the 3rd and 6th inning, or after the 3rd and 6th inning, you see guys call them mats, but these little gates out to the field, and they go around the infield, raking the dirt.
Did you do that?
Yep,
So you can
yep,
see there, and I can.
Yep.
I could have been booing you. You could be like, "Whoa, boo! You stink."
Yeah. So between the 3rd inning, you run down there, or you walk down, because we stayed in the bullpen. So you sat in the bullpen during the game. After the top of the 3rd, you'd go to the dugout and get your gate and mat ready. As soon as the 3rd out is made and the bottom of the 3rd,
you're on your horse.
Out. Yeah, you got to run and do the infield and rake it.
All righty.
And then, but I mean, it was a great job. I did it 2 summers in high school. I paid like $11-12 an hour, as a high school kid, and
sitting there watching baseball,
watching bad baseball. The Royals were losing. That was 04 and 05.
Yeah.
So the Royals were losing. I think they lost 100
games
both years.
Yep.
But yeah, we sat in the bullpen and did that up until I played high school baseball, but we played all the way through summertime until we started football in August. And yeah, it was a great summer job. Some of my friends have actually stayed with that profession and moved up to one is the head of the Sporting KC grounds crew.
No kidding.
Some guys are still at Kauffman. So yeah.
That's cool. So you're a Royals fan.
Yep.
Okay. Lived 4 miles from the K. Like, I'm gonna ride my bike to the K. Maybe not. That's a long bike ride.
Yeah.
But you get the point. So you're a perfect guy to ask this. Do you follow the Royals?
I hate to admit it, but not like I should, or not really much at all right now. The college football coaching is a busy job anyway, but when you're not a good team and you're not investing in resources, and they've struggled for really since 14, 15, those World Series years, it's been tough to follow.
See, like that's the problem right now with the Royals. And I honestly don't know if they realize it. You are a sports guy, okay? And I understand you have a very difficult job. That's a time-consuming job as a coach. I understand that. But if you, who loves baseball, you worked for the Royals, you got a paycheck that said, I'm assuming, David Glass on your check.
Kansas City Royals baseball club.
Yeah. And now you're just like, whatever.
Yeah, I feel bad admitting that, but I just
why should you feel bad? Like, they're not worth your time.
I know, but that's my team, the Royals, the Chiefs, growing up right there. But you're right. I mean, when they're and I hate the term fair weather fan, but that's what I am with the Royals, and it's
but
tough.
That's their own fault.
It's tough to watch a product that's not getting better or sustainable,
Well, and sometimes it's hard to watch them. Can you even watch them?
No, I don't have the
that's like, it's just
channel or the
guy
service
who grew up playing baseball and likes baseball and worked for the Royals, and now it's like, that's a cool highlight on social media. Like, that's so bad. And that's what's wrong with baseball. But and now, you live 4 miles from the Royals. Like, do your parents still like the Royals? Like, are they invested in the Royals? Like, they
not as much as they were. But yeah, they live in the same house in Independence right there by the stadium.
And they're Jackson. I would love to ask him, like, are you gonna vote yes? Like, I wouldn't. Like, and the reason why I wouldn't is the only real deterrent for someone voting no in this type of situation is if they're going to move the team. Sherman's not moving the team. He's a Kansas City guy. If he moves the team, well, then he's literally public enemy number 1 in the history of Kansas City. I don't think nobody wants that, right?
Yeah, a new stadium is one thing. Moving the team
Yeah.
is obviously
You know,
completely
like Stan
different.
Kroenke leaving St. Louis. He's not a St. Louis native. Okay. He didn't care about St. Louis. Plus, he's a bad guy. So he moves them to LA, right? John Sherman's from Kansas City. He bought the Royals because it was his childhood team. I don't see him moving. And I don't know why you'd want to help a guy who's not going to invest in the team. Like, that's a problem. That's what stinks about that. Like the Royals season was over May 1st. They lasted a month. 1 month. Like that's like, are you pro downtown baseball? You growing up, I bet you went to the K all the damn time.
Yeah, it was, a few dollars to sit in the outfield seats when there were, 4,000 fans there because you're losing all those games. I do think downtown ballparks are cool, right? I mean, I think the first one I ever went to was Coors Field in Denver, and it had a different vibe, downtown with the restaurants and the entertainment and the energy. I love where the Truman Sports Complex is, just because it's obviously close to home and that is the draw out there. But there's a lot of benefits if you were to move the stadium downtown.
I want the stadium downtown. I just don't think a billionaire should get free money.
The tax is one thing, right? I mean, yes, no. Moving the ballpark downtown, I think, is a good move.
Yeah. I would love to see the Royals move down. I would love to see the Royals move out to Legends. Because then it's a 40-minute drive from me to go to a Royals game. I would not be opposed to that. They're not doing that. They're going downtown. But that's, and I always say, like, the baseball nuts who are like Fulton is I don't know if I've met anybody who loves baseball more than Fulton and Dan. Fulton and Dan love baseball more than, they're like not even the 1%. They're like the 1/10 1%. And I'm thinking, Fulton lives and dies with the Royals. Bless his heart. He goes, yeah, I'll have a good time on vacation unless the Royals lose. I'm like, do not let the Royals affect your vacation. The Chiefs, I can understand that because they're actually good, but it's so bad, and it makes me wonder if they even have a clue.
The city was vibrant 14, 15. I mean, obviously you're making the runs in the World Series and you have the most, the wild card game being exciting, maybe the most exciting in KC history. And so there's a lot of energy that could go with that. And you haven't had wins to support or wins to cheer for, past few years, especially this year when I think they're the second worst record in baseball. I mean,
yeah, they're the worst record in baseball. The A's don't count. They're not a real team.
Okay. So yeah,
they don't count. Their team doesn't count. We don't. I mean, they're not even trying. The Royals tried. That's the sad part. Yeah, we're trying, and you're winning 18 games out of 61. That's what's bad about that. So bad. But glad to know you're on Team Downtown Ballpark.
Yeah, I think it's just. I think the city, with T-Mobile Arena, formerly Sprint Center down there. Not really having an anchor tenant, right? There's no hockey, there's no basketball team.
Hockey or basketball, NHL or NBA, what would you rather have?
NHL for me.
Really?
Yeah. I think the NBA.
And says the guy who plays basketball almost every single day.
I'm a huge basketball guy.
Yeah.
But
you're a sports guy. That's why it's sad that the Royals suck so bad that you don't even watch them.
I think Kansas City is a great sports market. Obviously, it's my hometown, but I do think they would support either team, NBA, NHL. I just think the NHL is a little bit unique, a little bit of a new draw, maybe like Sporting kind of was when they first came in. It was, soccer's not new, but it was a new feel for the city, and they've supported the heck
and they did it
that.
Right with Sporting KC. The Wizards, not so much, but Sporting KC, they've done it right.
Yeah, when you build your facility and then same thing with the current going on. But I think the anchor tenant at T-Mobile would be a huge draw. And if you had the baseball park right next to it, like several cities have downtown, I think it'd be a really good fit.
I would love the NHL. I think hockey does a lot of things right.
Hockey live, and I love hockey, but hockey live is to me, it's the most exciting sport to watch live. Yeah.
When was the last? What hockey game did you go to?
So I've been to. I grew up going to KC Blades games, the old Kemper Arena. That was kind of my first introduction to it. But in Independence, they built a arena. The Missouri Mavericks play out there. But on my recruiting trips, we'll try to go. I recruit Phoenix and Denver, and so we'll try to go to an Avs game or
no kidding,
Coyotes game.
So much fun live.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to a playoff game?
No.
Epic. I went to a Nashville Predators playoff game when they were on their run to the Cup. Well, they didn't win it, but when they're making their amazing.
Hockey fans are wild. Hockey players are wild.
Just live hockey's so much fun. People don't, that's why I always say to people, there are things if you're a sports person, you like sports and you cheer for KU, K-State, and Chiefs, Royals, and everything, there are two things you need to do. You need to at least once go to an NHL game. And then you have to at least attend one NASCAR or race, a race. You'll have a greater appreciation of NASCAR fast car if you go to a NASCAR. Have you ever been to one?
I've not been to NASCAR, but to your point of going to sporting events, we went to the PGA Championship in Tulsa last year.
Did you go? It's pretty cool.
And that was my first time going to a PGA event. Yeah. And again, in person, it's just different. Right? Yeah. But in Kansas City, you're not getting PGA events. You don't have a hockey team. So some of that stuff that may be somewhat unique and foreign to the city, I think you bring it in, it would take off.
Oh, I'd love NHL hockey. The NBA, they have the best athletes in the world. Like in the world, they're the best athletes. I more so than football players. That's a hard pill for me to swallow since I played football, but they're the best. I mean, the fact that like some of those guys, what they do at 6'11", it's incredible to me. Incredible. Coming up next, we'll wrap things up though here with the mic drop. Alrighty, time for the mic drop, finishing things up before we hand it off to 580 Sports Talk. Kyle, you got anything?
My mic drop is now with Lionel Messi coming to Inter Miami. I would like to see other professional athletes go and play in the B and C tier leagues. I want to see LeBron James on the Shanghai Sharks or Steph Curry on the Shanghai Sharks.
How many points would LeBron score in Taiwan.
He would be holding up like the Wilt Chamberlain 100 after every game.
I like that. Yeah, Leo Messi coming to Inter Miami. I'm all on board with that. Team Messi, by the way, in terms of Messi versus Ronaldo. Zach, I'll give you this. How's Washburn football going to be this year?
We'll be young but athletic, and I think we're going to be. COVID gave us a lot of seniors, but I think we'll be pretty talented. We'll have a lot of kids that have not played a lot of football on the field, but it's a good thing sometimes because you don't know what you don't know and you just play.
There we go.
Spring ball was really good, so I'm excited for the season.
Mine is Rory McIlroy is maybe one of the most well-spoken athletes of our generation. Good for Rory. Coming up next, 580 Sports Talk.